Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today I'm going to be talking about the Houston Rockets potentially signing point guard slash shooting guard Cameron Payne, who has played his last 4 seasons with the Phoenix Suns and has been really solid with the Phoenix Suns, but was just recently waived by the San Antonio Spurs a couple days ago. He was dealt with a second-round pick to the San Antonio Spurs from the Phoenix Suns. Now, this was, Phoenix wasn't moving him because they didn't like him. They liked him, but this was a move Phoenix made trying to sign Bobo, which they were successful. They did sign Bobo, and he's now on their roster, and he's going to have a very good season. Watch out, NBA. Watch out, NBA fans and Suns fans and all other fans. Bobo is going to have a monster season with the Suns. But the reason Cam Payne was traded to the San Antonio Spurs when he did was because of Bobo and because they were trying to sign Bobo, which they were successful with. So they traded a second-round pick and Cameron Payne, I think maybe not cash considerations, to the San Antonio Spurs. Now, a couple days ago, Spurs waived Cameron Payne, trying to give him a chance to sign with a contender. Now, I don't know if the Rockets are really considered as a contender. I'd like to think them as a contender for the play-in tournament, maybe, and maybe even a contender for the playoffs after the play-in tournament. I know, non-Rockets fans can call me crazy, but I think the Rockets really do have a good shot to be that 10 or 9 seed, maybe even possible 8 seed. I really doubt 8 seed, but I do think the Rockets are going to win in the area of 37. I think they will probably win in the area of 37 to 41 ball games. I think they have at least a couple times throughout the season, at least 2 or 3 or 4 times where they have a really easy stretch of ball games. And obviously, everybody has to face the same teams. I think it's a big part of facing teams is what the stretch looks like. And especially for this Rockets team, they had long stretches of hard games last year. They're going to have a couple of those long stretches of facing good opponents, but with an improved roster and a good head coach in Ime Udoka, this Rockets team is going to shock a lot of people. And I think, giving out a guy like KPJ is going to help that too, and improving this roster. And whoever they add in for KPJ is going to be great for this team. But we're going to be talking about the Rockets potentially signing Cameron Payne. So Rockets are going to be moving on from Kevin Porter Jr. soon, whether that's a trade or releasing him. So here's what the reports have been from Shams. The Shams has reported that the Rockets are trying to trade Kevin Porter Jr. and draft compensation. I've also heard around that the Rockets are looking for a player in return for KPJ in this draft compensation. But here's what I am thinking. If the Rockets are not able to get if they're not able to get anything back for KPJ and draft compensation, and they ultimately just have to trade KPJ and draft compensation to a team just for a salary dump, just to give KPJ to a team just to take him off their hands, and then most likely if that said team is not giving the Rockets anything back in return, most likely you're going to see Kevin Porter Jr. get cut. That team's just going to take the second-round pick and cut Kevin Porter Jr. And then Kevin Porter Jr. is going to find himself in legal trouble, and also he's going to be jobless, which will be a big problem for him. But I think he has other problems in the future. Do not want to talk any violent stuff on my channel, though, so going to avoid talking about Kevin Porter Jr. throughout this rest of this video. But with Kevin Porter Jr. gone, there will be a roster spot open. Whether that is whoever the Rockets get for him, or if the Rockets have to trade him and get nothing back, the Rockets have a roster spot open and a bench spot open for the backup point guard or shooting guard. It really could be a backup point guard or shooting guard they bring in, because I think ultimately the Rockets would like to have Amin Thompson at the backup point guard, but if they like to backup point guard more than they like to backup shooting guard, they could sign a backup point guard, because Cam Payne, he can play the shooting guard, but he's more of a point guard. So if you would have to, you could put Cam Payne at the backup point guard, and you could put Amin Thompson at the backup shooting guard, because he can play the 1 through 3. Amin Thompson can play the point guard, which I think that's where the Rockets would really like him to be at, the shooting guard, and the small forward. He can play either 3 positions. He's tall. He's 6'7". He could probably play power forward, which I don't recommend, and I don't think we'll do, but I'm just saying he could probably play power forward as well if we needed him to. But, I mean, honestly, you could put Cam Payne at that backup point guard position and, Payne can be mostly the ball handler, and then where Payne is the primary ball handler, and then you see Amen Thompson ball handle a little bit. He brings up the ball up the court a little bit, and you get to see him run point, kind of like a split point where you kind of see both players play at point guard. Payne is the real player at the point guard position, but you see both players splitting that point guard spot, bringing up the ball up the court. But I think it'd be interesting to see if the Rockets are bringing in someone new. I think Amen Thompson has a big part of what that's going to do. What do the Rockets feel more comfortable with him at? Do they feel more comfortable at the point guard or the shooting guard? I don't think they want him at the small forward, of course, because I think ultimately the Rockets, they have so much talent at that forward position that there's really no room for him to play small forward. So it's either going to be him playing shooting guard or it's going to be him playing point guard off the bench. So which one do they want him to play more desperately? And I think that's going to be a big thing into maybe signing a free agent or trading for a player for KPJ in return. I think that's gonna be a big thing when adding in someone new to this rotation. But I think Payne, he's mainly played point guard throughout his year and throughout his career, but definitely can play both. But I mean, if the Rockets ultimately do not get anything for Kevin Porter Jr., which I think they will probably be able to get a player, but if they have to trade KPJ and a second-round pick or multiple to a team and get nothing, which definitely could be true. That could definitely happen. Some teams, you're not going to see a lot of teams want to, give up a player for a second-round pick or two and a player who's in a whole lot of trouble. So I think there's a couple players I eye out on and a couple teams that could be real. I look at Evan Fournier, like the Knicks. They're basically done with him. So that's a target I think the Rockets should definitely target because he's a good player. He's a good shooter. He's a good bench player. I think the Rockets should be targeting Evan Fournier if I'm being honest. But Payne could be an option in free agency if the Rockets don't get anything. And let's go over his last 4 seasons with the Phoenix Suns. 2019-20 season with the Suns, he averaged 11 points per game and 4 rebounds per game with 3 assists per game. 2020-21 season with the Phoenix Suns, he averaged 9 points per game with 4 assists per game. And then 2021-22 season, he averaged 11 points per game with 3 rebounds per game and 5 assists per game. Then this past season, in 2022-23 season, he averaged 10.3 points per game with 2.2 rebounds per game and 4.5 assists per game with one steal per game. So he's been solid with the Suns. And then three-point percentage, which he's been very solid at three-point shooting. This season with the Suns, 22-23 season, he averaged 37% three-point shooting. 2021-22 season with the Suns, he averaged 34% three-point shooting. How about the 2020-21 season? Played 60 games with 1 start, 44% three-point shooting. 2019-20 season with the Suns, 52 three-point percentage. 52 three-point percentage in the 2019-20 season. Although he only played 8 games for the Suns in the 2019-20 season. So those are what his stats look like with his 4 years in the Suns. I think if the Rockets are not able to get anything for Kevin Porter Jr. and have to trade him and his second-round pick for nothing in return, then the first call the Rockets make out of all free agents are Payne. But other names I would eye out for the Rockets, if they don't get anything for Payne, for anything for KPJ, are definitely Payne is number 1 at the list. But I think other names that are I'd potential eye on is Kendrick Nunn and Will Barton as well. That's for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed them, your thoughts, and peace out. Go Rockets.